Peace. So this week I wanted to talk about the universal laws again, but in a more like shorter version. This is the original version actually. So the seven hermetic principles, and also about how we can become the alchemist of our lives. So like basically unity consciousness is the basic understanding of what an alchemist really is, and just learning how to apply it with the laws and the principles, and also just learning how to perceive it, because sometimes like we can understand like how the laws work, but like being able to actually like understand the actual science behind it, I think is something that really helps, because when we can actually see it being applied, we can actually practice it ourselves. So the seven hermetic principles include the number one, the principle of mentalism, which is the all is mind and the universe is mental. So two, the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as below, so above. Three, the principle of vibration, which is everything rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Number four, the principle of polarity, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Five, the principle of rhythm, which is the pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left, which is rhythm compensates. So like the world moves in rhythm cycles, same thing. Number six, the principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause, also known as karma. Number seven, the principle of gender. Gender is everything, is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Okay, so to simply put it, life is created from what many call source, God, universe, etc. This source is all energy, both visible and invisible, darkness and light, giving and receiving, pushing and pulling, etc. And there are codes to this universe which are known as the universal laws or principles. This is the input and output. As co-creators, we work with source to create like source, with power from source. Fun. And because we come down as an individual soul, we choose our own path. This choice is known as free will, and this is where the law of polarity comes into place. Understanding we are one means we understand that all things high vibrational and low vibrational, light and dark, positive and negative, etc., are of the same source, and this is how we can start shifting our consciousness. When we don't look at things as good or bad, but simply observe, we now freely choose our truth. And it is when we are aware of synchronicities that we can now understand everything relative to self with the law of correspondence. And this is when we can shift from the victim mentality to now an elevated state of understanding that everything within my reality is here to teach me, alongside the understanding of your power of choice with the law of cause and effect. This is the way of the observer. Only the observer can truly practice non-judgment. When we simply observe and don't get attached to the physical reality, we can now create from a space of awareness. Discernment is sifting through the noise of the thoughts that stream through your consciousness in the present moment. Becoming aware of these thoughts and then allowing yourself to feel, and now question, is this the way you want to perceive life, and therefore live by the consequences of these thought patterns? So basically, when we are the observer, we no longer get attached to the emotions that these things are creating within our body, like ourselves. Because emotions are natural. Like you're naturally going to feel some type of way when you're going through something maybe new. For example, you might feel uncomfortable from something that's unfamiliar, which is sometimes perceived as fear. And for example, like biases and projections, sometimes we're even feeling things that aren't truly ourselves, based off of the programming that we received from our parents, maybe school, whatever it was. So practicing being the observer is something that really helps, because now you are just observing everything that does come up into your mind. And now you're actually saying, do I really want this? Do I really not want this? What do I want to do? How do I want to create my life? What do I want to experience? And now learning how to take the things that you've observed and put it and changing that or using that as fuel to now either create what you want or destroy the things that you don't feel that are desired in your life. Because information is neutral and how we use it is not. So at the end of the day, when we look at something and this gives us fear, it could give us fear in the way that we want to run away, or fear where we know we have to actually overcome it, because on the other side of that is a reward. So, and also looking at it like from the aspect where in every problem there's a solution, and in every obstacle there is an opportunity for us. So the universal language of this existence is math. Everything is energy and energy is vibration. Vibration is another term for quantity of energy speed something is vibrating at, moving at. So quantum mechanics is another way to describe how shifts of consciousness create a new reality, also known as like quantum physics. So the word quantum, well, quantum mechanics is a fundamental theory in physics and provides a description of the physical properties of nature at the scale of atoms and subatomic particles. So the word quantum etymology is the neuter singular of the Latin interrogative adjective quantus, meaning how much, quanta, the neuter plural, short for quanta of electricity electrons. And mechanics is a noun, which is a branch of physical science that deals with energy and forces and their effects on bodies. So this is what a lot of different cultures describe as their version of spirituality. Science is one and the same with spirituality. It doesn't matter how you look at it, because when you understand what they're talking about and how they're talking about the same things from different perspectives, it's all saying the same thing. So like when we talk about like the Ifa perspective, for example, or the Voodoo perspective, or the Hindu perspective, or the Buddhist perspective, everything can be described by science. They're all saying the same thing. It's just their own way of saying it. And mathematics. So understanding life is created in what we call fractals. Reality is made up of macro and micro bodies. So for example, atoms are at the micro levels, while solar systems or galaxies are at the macro affection of the micro. So like the solar system, and this is an atom. So have you ever wondered that maybe the solar system which we live in could be another massive atom? Like understanding that everything reflects each other. Like, so this energy at a subatomic particle, like the smallest version of it, is still reflected on in the biggest way, like the biggest reflection of itself. An example, like the universe or the solar system. So it's just understanding like everything is really one. Everything is coming from this one source. And learning how to explain it. So we can explain it in so many different ways, but this means the universe source is experiencing itself in all aspects possible. So the saying that there's an infinite number of possibilities coming from the understanding of this quantum field, the universe doesn't operate like how the human mind has been programmed to perceive reality. Time and creation are infinite in the eyes of the universe. There is no past or future. It is only the present moment of self experiencing self. So like what this really means is like the past and future are technically being experienced simultaneously in the present moment. And this all can be described with quantum mechanics by understanding like energy is infinite. So quantum mechanics is really talking about how infinite this reality truly is. And this is just like an example of how the field of energy can look like. But there's many different like physical manifestations of seeing this reality. So when we see things like reflecting the ultimate source, we understand that all these things are coming from one source, but they're just all reflecting that one source. So as a human being, we come from that one source that this planet comes from. And we ourselves reflect what the planet looks like or what atoms looks like, because we actually have a circle around us as well, and of energy, just like source reflects in small atoms on a micro level. So it's just understanding like everything is everything. at the same time. And everything is nothing and nothing is everything. So this is what it really talks about. Understanding that wisdom knows that I am nothing and love knows that I am everything. When we have wisdom, we understand this wisdom is only wisdom, like understanding of the knowledge that we can accumulate at this frequency. So if we're operating in the third dimension, we can only receive wisdom operating in that third dimension. But if we're operating in the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension, we can only receive wisdom from that dimension. And we can receive, when we're higher up, we can receive more information from lower dimensions as well. So we can actually see that whole spectrum. So you are here in the eternal now, at the intersection of the past and the future, and there is nowhere else you can be. The saying, the wise man knows he knows nothing, meaning although something may be true, it is only truth relative to their consciousness, which is their level of awareness in that present moment. So life is infinite like energy, which is also known as the equation E equals mc squared, which is talking about how energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed into something else. So energy is only transformed, which is also known as the principle of vibration or the law of pure potentiality. And as an individual soul, which is the fractal of the original source experiencing itself as a human, we experience this eternal present moment through the gates of our senses. So when we are actually like observing things, it's not just our eyes that are observing things, it's our entire body. Our entire body from head to toe is literally absorbing information all the time. So it's understanding like all of our senses are really able to receive all this energy. And it's just about being aware, because sometimes like we're so focused on what we see, we're not so focused on what we hear or what we feel. So being aware of all senses is something that's very important as well. And it is only when we tune our senses to send out and pick up new energy, we can shift and create a new reality for us. So you can only receive something from a different frequency if you change the channel. You can't receive you can't receive money coming from the state of lack. You're always going to repel it because you're chasing it. Chasing the bag is something that's running away from you. So when you're looking at it from that aspect, that you gotta chase it, it's just understanding what these thoughts are creating in our reality, what pattern is it creating, and being able to change that if that's something that we don't want. If that's what you want, it's okay. Like that's how you want to create your life, how you want to perceive reality, that's fine. But we all have freedom of will, freedom of choice. So it's just about how we want to do it. Quantum leaping and quantum jumping is about taking your consciousness from one state of awareness to another, which alters the reality you can perceive and in turn experience. Being present and aware of your surroundings relative to your internal thoughts, aka fully conscious, is 360 degrees of awareness. So 360, like our aura, it's a literal sphere around us. So that's what a circle is. That's what a sphere is. And being aware of your aura as well. That's what that means. So sometimes we become creatures of habit and do things that don't serve our desired reality. When we understand that we choose to be disciplined with habits that do serve ourselves and the reality we want to create, choosing to do things to raise your energetic vibration is a form of self-love. Love is the highest elevation of understanding. By sending love to all negative, low vibrating things that don't serve your energy anymore, you become the creator. Love is how we transmute the effects of those lower frequency things relative to our own energy field. So when we understand, like, okay, for example, we're not doing the routine that we know is going to actually get us in a higher frequency, whether that's eating certain types of food, adapting certain habits, like waking up early, for example, aligning your circadian rhythm with the circadian rhythm of the planet, certain things like that. When we actually understand like these things are actually better for us and we want to start embodying more self-love, those are things that we naturally are going to have to do if we really want to receive that type of reality on the external, because we could want love and be giving it to other people and not receiving it because we're not coming from the state of self-love. But when we come from the state of self-love, we won't accept anything else but the love that we give to ourselves from other people. So just practicing self-love with these habits is something that can protect you from lower vibrational frequencies, because you understand, okay, that's just what they're at. That has nothing to do with me. And I know what I want in my life. And it's nothing against them, no judgment. It's just I know what I want in my life. And that's okay, because you love yourself enough to create the reality that you desire. So no judgment allows for this love to manifest, because you no longer look at these things with anger, hatred, or etc., like judgment. But now with the gratefulness of the lessons they taught you, and therefore help make you stronger and smarter. And remembering source is infinitely experiencing itself in many different frequencies. Everyone and everything is on its own journey. This removes clouded thinking and allows you to quantum leap, aka shift paradigms, aka timeline jump, etc. By not focusing on the external and instead focusing on the internal reality to alchemize your external reality. So this is that as within, so without. Understanding like some people right here, some people were not put here to evolve. They are here to remind you what it looks like if you don't. So everything is here to serve you. When you understand that life is about experiences in the journey, and you are the person experiencing it, a soul experiencing through this body at this present moment in time, you no longer see things as why is this happening to me? Because you understand, okay, it's happening to me, but what is this teaching me? And I think the most important thing is just being open-minded to the lesson and not being so attached to the people and how it makes you feel. Because we can get really clouded in saying like, oh, this makes me feel really, really sad. Well, yes, it does make you feel sad, and that's okay to feel sad. But there's a lesson behind that. Saying, well, okay, well, maybe I don't want to be sad, or I don't want to have a sad life. So it's like, what can I do to change this reaction or this type of reality? Well, maybe instead of hanging out with people that are always gonna choose me last, for example, or something like where they're gonna treat you some way that you really don't want to be treated, like make jokes about you, for example, and you really don't actually feel comfortable about that. Instead of allowing that to now be your reality, you say, okay, I don't like how this makes me feel. I accept what it's telling me. I need to have more self-love and pick better friends that are actually going to fuel me and make me feel better about myself. And we all just uplift each other. And that's how the lesson is learned, by just being able to see, okay, this is happening and how can I change it? And it takes practice, but meditation is the first practice, but then you actually have to go apply it in reality. So when you're actually faced with these obstacles, now your opportunity arises where you can now choose a different reality. And it's all about where you put your focus to. So this is a little chart showing if you put your focus, for example, towards enemies, saying how you could possibly, like, whether it's you observing people have enemies and like you keep watching that, and now subconsciously you're picking up, maybe I could have enemies. You're actually going to create that, and because you're on that frequency of envy, now you're opening up yourself to that spiritual warfare of hate. And it's understanding like when you are in an elevated state of mind, when you are the observer, these things may arise because at the end of the day, like the negative polarity and the positive polarity are always going to be around. But when you don't actually focus on them or feed into them, they will just come like emotions and go like emotions. Like water sometimes comes and goes with rain, like how nature has their seasons that come and go. Just being able to allow these things to come and go, because sometimes also you are here to show somebody what the frequency, the opposite frequency of that looks like. So for example, you come across a bunch of hateful people, but you're in the state of love. You're understanding why everything happens. So you're not coming from that victim mentality. So it's like you're around all these people and you're just observing and you're neutral and you allow them to say their part. But then somebody asks you a question maybe, and it's like, why don't you feel this way? And then you explain, and then that could help whoever was meant to hear that in the group, like how not to be hateful, because maybe they're meant to not be hateful. And that's all about their choice, whether they really want to actually accept that as a possible reality. Because in the quantum field, when we understand that the quantum field is infinite on the spectrum of positive, high vibration, and then low vibration, negative vibration, we understand anything can literally happen in between those spectrums. So it's like you can align with yourself with a higher aspect of yourself, or you can align with the lower aspect of yourself, but that's all choice. So this is why divination tools like tarot, shells, tea, egg cleanses, or even clairvoyant people and etc. can read the path of one's past, present, and future. Energetically, we are making footprints on a path we are carving out for ourselves. And this is all being shown in the quantum field, like in the ether. So people can read where a person has come from and is going based off of their energetic field. And although the future can be read, it can also be changed based off of your choices from an energetic frequency of consciousness in the present moment. So for example, people can be going through this constant test of their anger, right? Seeing if they're going to overcome this anger because they want more peace in their life. And this is what they keep telling themselves. But every time something challenges that belief system of they truly want peace, they fall victim to their old patterns. So it's like when we are challenging ourselves with this, because it's ourselves challenging ourselves to the universe, right? When we are challenging ourselves with these things, being aware of the choice that we're about to make is something that's really important, because when we're fully here, understanding, okay, this is what I'm starting to feel. Do I want to fall? Like asking yourself, actually doing in the moment shadow work, present moment shadow work. Is this what I want to feel? Is this how I want to react? Is this the reality I want to create? And then giving yourself the space to actually make the choice is how we actually timeline jump, is how we actually create a new future for ourselves. Because once we create that connection of, okay, I can actually choose this new path that I actually want to be on, like this new like energy that I really want to embody. Once you do it once, you can do it the next time and the time after that. It's all about the mind. It's just about doing it the first time, and then that whole new cycle is created. So this is really what the cycle looks like a circle, for example. So remember, the future is just the trajectory of your life path based on the thoughts, feelings, and actions, which is consciousness, you choose to operate at. Keeping in mind reaping what you sow, also known as karma, which can be either desirable or undesirable relative to your desired reality. Remain in the state of awareness of your co-creator status so that you no longer become the victim. You are now the student, aware of self, learning from experience of the journey and choosing what feels right. So when we're doing these the shadow work in present moment, asking the question, learning and seeing how what effect does it get in that present moment, and then trying it, actually applying it. And hey, if you fail, you fail. If you don't, you succeed and you keep going. And now you share, hey, I went about it this way, you can go about it this way. Spirituality is free. So if I get it this way, doesn't mean you have to get it that way. You can go about it a different way. But it's all what feels right. And as long as you get your desired reality, I mean, that's all that really matters. So unity consciousness is just about understanding everybody is on their own path. And although there's low vibrational people, you don't actually have to fear them. You don't actually have to engage with the spiritual warfare that we all perceive to be like our reality when we're coming from that lower state of lack of understanding. Because like we're only in spiritual warfare if we allow ourselves to be in spiritual warfare. It's literally as simple as that. Everything is literally free will. So if you allow yourself to be cursed, it was a choice that you decided that you were going to agree, like, yeah, this person's energy got sent to me, and like I'm agreeing to this energy being in my aura now. And also the energy of your thoughts, words, and actions, emotions collectively affect the frequency of your vibrational aura. So you're going to attract low vibrational beings no matter what when you're on a higher vibration, because people are going to be attracted to the light as well. But it's understanding how you actually go about it is what changes the outcome. Because for example, like fear, you can forget everything and run. You can forget all the power that you have in that present moment and be like, I feel overwhelmed by this low vibrational being in my space right now. Or you can face everything and rise, which is understanding, okay, this low vibrational beings in my field right now, my aura field right now. But I'm just observing it. And I understand it's a part of me because it's a source. It all comes from source. And the shadow is me and the light is me. And I'm just the middle. I'm just everything and nothing at the same time. So it's okay. And I don't have to feed into that vibration if I don't want to. So that was pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And I think you guys can unmute as well if you would like. Mm.
I guess I'll ask a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so could you explain the difference between the principle of polarity and the principle of rhythm?
Yeah. Okay, so the principle of polarity is really talking about how everything is on a spectrum of energy, okay? So like it's understanding it could be positive or negative, because that's all there really is: positive, negative, and then the neutral in the middle, right? And then everything in between that. So rhythm understands, well, understanding rhythm is really understanding how things shift from the low vibration to the high vibration. And this is, it's not in the way where we think of good or bad, but it's in the way of understanding like actual energy frequency, like changes from a slower pace to a faster pace. And the faster pace is the high vibration and the slower pace is the low vibration. And it's just understanding, okay, when you're in these certain frequencies, certain things just manifest a certain way. So for example, like a low frequency is considered to be darkness and a high frequency is considered to be light. So it's just understanding like the earth or everything in existence goes through a period of darkness in some aspect, either coming from the ether, the invisible, the unvisible, I mean, from the dark matter of the universe, and then coming and manifesting through light into the physical, because anything physical is light. And yeah, it's just always going through that flow and ebb, like going and stopping. And that's really what those two things are. And that also ties into the principle of gender, because like the gender, like being masculine and feminine, they're also like kind of like polarity as well. But it's just like understanding gender can also be described as like giving energy. So like as masculine energy is giving energy and then receiving energy is feminine energy. So it's like that's the kind of like the same thing with the rhythm as well, like giving and receiving. Like sometimes we have to give things in order to receive things, or sometimes we have to receive things in order to give things. It's just understanding like that's the rhythm, like being able to be in the flow state. So that's how I would describe those things. Let me read the comments because I've seen some. And if anybody has any questions, you can unmute as well. Yep, source is in all things, including evil. It's perceived to be evil, but like when you're the observer and you're just like, okay, they're just a lower vibrational like experience or being or whatever it is, however you want to call it.
I was gonna ask, would you say the principle of correspondence would be kind of like how would that be measured? Because I've heard before that like the principle of oh my god, so help me pronounce that polarity. I don't know why I can't say that right now. It's kind of measured kind of like horizontally, and then correspondence is measured vertically. So like how would you explain the difference between those two?
Okay, so that's actually really interesting. So in terms of the correspondence, when you think vertically, as above, so below, like that's like a direct correlation of that. But what that really means to me is, well, as above, right? When we think of as above, what is above really referring to? A lot of times when people like talk about heaven or God and stuff like that, they point up. And that's the source that we all point to, like something outside of us, but that's the above, right? So as above, so below, and on below is usually like referred to earth, and how that manifests is like just how things are created on earth, because God is a creator, sustainer, and destroyer, right? So it's just understanding like the actual things like from the invisible, the source, the universe is above, like coming from outside, creating this reality here below on the physical earth. So that's when I think about that correlation. But I also think about as well as above, so below, thinking about how, or as within, so without is the same thing, like how our mind literally creates our external reality. So like vertically, I mean, that could be another way to describe it, but like our thoughts are literally being protruded out, right? So as within, so without, as above, so below, as above, so below reality being reflected. That's something else I would correlate that with. Um, in terms of polarity, I think of it like the spectrum. I always bring up the spectrum, understanding that things are dual. So the poles is just the opposites, right? Hot, cold, and everything in between. The middle is the warm, like that, not too cold, not too hot. But that polarity can be described in a horizontal way, which is something that like, I mean, that's another way you can describe it, but like you could also do it up and down. I don't feel like it just has to be like horizontal. But polarity is just, yeah, understanding like that spectrum, and you can put it like that. Correspondence is multi-dimensional, as within, so without, not just as above, so below. Yep, exactly. If y'all know what a tesseract is, that's a good representation of the law of correspondence. Yep, exactly. So it's like correspondence is understanding like when you have the power, when you understand you have the power, everything is corresponding to that actual understanding of your knowing of your power. Think about it, correspondence, going along with. So it's understanding as within, so without, quite literally. And this is why like this is referred to a lot, like the star or the Merkaba in terms of like our light body as well, like that being the gate, because it's like having that balance. Like if you really look at it, the Merkaba is a two triangles, right? It's one positive, like looking up, like positive, and one looking down, negative, right? And that's essentially like being able to tap into both the visible and invisible, positive polarity and negative polarity, being able to like combine that all. Like that's how I look at it. Like it's all one, and just being the observer. That's really what the light body is. Like the soul is, because that's what the light body is referring to. And not to take anything personal. Yeah, not to take anything personal, because everything is here to serve you. Once we realize all these things are coming up in our reality to make us better. Think about it. We have to break something down in order to create something stronger. When you see a house being rebuilt, they usually knock down everything in the foundation when they're starting from scratch. And now they're rebuilding it, and it's supposed to be sturdier or newer or updated, right? So that's just really what it is. Like when you're in that state of awareness that everything is here to build you up. If there's any other questions, let me know. If not, I'm gonna pass it back to CJ.
Bet. Y'all can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So, if y'all enjoyed today's call, man, make sure y'all drop the 777s in the chat. If y'all got some value today, I think Nicolette definitely dove into a lot of different concepts, gave some gems today. And hopefully today's call was able to kind of help you guys out and give you guys some more insight, more awareness, and ultimately, like I said, take this information and apply it to your own lives. And like Nicolette honestly said, create change, do the shadow work, create that change within yourself, and then produce that change into your reality when the opportunity shows itself for you to make it. So when those times come where it is time for you to actually apply the things that you've been actually working on, when you're around a friend or around a relative, or you get around somebody and they show you parts of your emotions that you're putting away. It's up to you to actually go ahead and decide how you want to control that part of that reality. If you're going to just let them walk all over you like you've always had happen, or are you going to use your throat chakra, stand up for yourself, forget the fear that you might have of the judgment and get rid of that root chakra, open that up. So what are you going to do to actually use the information that you learned today to apply it into your life? But with that being said, if y'all definitely enjoyed, make sure you guys definitely show love on Nicolette's Instagram. Nicolette, if you want to drop your Instagram for everybody to actually follow you, connect with you, or if you want to share, you're already sharing your screen, so if you want to pull up Instagram, that's cool too.
Yeah, it's right there in the top corner.
Perfect. So make sure you guys definitely connect with Nicolette, show her some love, follow her if you guys are enjoying the content. Make sure you guys are definitely tuned in with the MBW Discord so you guys can always get updated every single Wednesday when we have our calls. Our next call is going to be Thursday, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, Conscious Conversations with me, Andre, and Derek. So that's going to be a great call as well. Definitely don't want to miss out on another conversation like this. And with that being said, I appreciate everybody for taking the time. Like I said, y'all could be doing anything, but y'all came on here to learn something new. So I appreciate you guys. And if y'all looking for us, y'all know where to find us. Y'all can find us at the beach, or y'all can find us at the bank. Let's get it.